this second episode of Viaduct Visionaries, I'm excited to be joined by Mark Norman. Mark is a managing partner at FM Capital, a venture capital firm specializing in transformative technologies for the transportation industry. With a career spanning leadership roles at companies like Zipcar, where he spearheaded growth into the world's largest car-sharing network and led its successful IPO, Mark brings deep expertise in the automotive innovation and mobility trends. His expertise also includes serving as CEO of Flexcar, chairman and CEO of Chrysler Canada, and executive roles at a variety of companies, including Summit Systems and the Herb Chambers companies. In addition, Mark has also served on the boards of over two dozen companies, offering strategic guidance on automotive, transportation, and technology advancements. I'm excited to chat with Mark about his thoughts on the role of data and AI in the automotive sector. Mark, welcome, and thank you for taking the time to speak with me today.
Matej, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
We hear a lot of chatter today about the impact of sort of four key trends in the automotive sector, the so-called CASE: connected, autonomous, shared, electric. In your view, how are CASE technologies reshaping the automotive industry, and what role do you see AI playing in this transformation?
Yeah, we're really in a second phase of CASE now. I think the term was first coined by McKinsey almost 10 years ago, of just trends affecting new transformative technologies in mobility and transportation. Since a lot of money's been invested by strategics, by financial and venture and other investors, and a lot of effort from startups, the phase that we're in now, as we embark on 2025, is really applying these technologies into driving real commercial efficiencies for their customers. So we get excited about what's going on in each of those areas and what impacts that can have on operations for companies today. An example would be if connectivity, GM had 4G connectivity in cars in 2014. Now you'll see large fleets, even government fleets that might last for 20 or 30 years, increasingly be fully connected, and now thinking about a holistic asset base, whether it's 30,000 cars operated by the state of New York, or whether it's a small business fleet, to be wholly natively connected can drive a focus on uptime and less of a focus on unit count, that can drive a real focus on mobility, moving people and goods, the jobs to be done, uptime, tonnage, things like that, and throughput, and less of a unit focus. That's a huge shift now as we think about commercialization. Even look at like autonomy, right? Today, we're starting to see robo-taxis in certain cities take a real bite out of taxi and human-driven rideshare drivers. Cities with good weather, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Phoenix, parts of Florida, and it is becoming a viable solution in certain niche areas. Are we talking about taking autonomous cars to work and for private use for regular average consumers? Not anytime soon, but it's starting to move as a fleet efficiency driver. We're seeing it on electrification, even in the current political environment, in certain areas where companies and states have requirements for a clean air, carbon-free mandate. We're seeing certain clean channels that are all EV through that whole ecosystem. Is that going to happen in every state? No way. But in certain areas, in certain channels, in certain use cases, it continues to grow. That to us is an exciting application of AI to be able to learn and place and drive efficiencies in adoption of those technologies to drive real savings for commercial consumers.
And if we zoom in on connected, which is one of the four that you mentioned, connected vehicles generate increasingly vast amounts of data. How can automotive companies, be it OEMs or fleet operators, best leverage AI to transform this data into actionable insights to actually drive ROI?
Yeah, I think AI can really make sense out of the just mountains of data that are increasingly available. You look at randomized, anonymized movements of vehicles, cell phone data, you name it, and making sense of it to be able to say, no, it's these 1,000 vehicles in this area, in this car park, in this time of day that are driving risks to safety on the roads, that are driving reliability or downtime problems, or that are driving efficiencies and better feedback on developing a car better. Those are those areas where you can turn the data into something meaningful and useful and discerning as you go. Think of it as real-time learning to make sense out of a pretty disparate car park that's got different uses, different weather, different vehicle manufacturers, different age, different powertrain, and to be able to learn from that to get actionable insights is the exciting thing in the precipice that we're on with AI today.
What are the potential pitfalls in leveraging the data and analyzing the data that companies should be aware of when they're trying to implement or integrate AI solutions in this case?
Yeah, some of the key pitfalls that a lot of our portfolio companies and their clients run into is just data security, privacy, and just the reliability of those inputs to be able to say, whose data is it? It's the customer's. How do I use it? And how do I know it's secure? And so with it constantly being fed, it's got to be done in a way that's not opening up new threats and interfaces for other things that can come in and interfere. So that's the primary one. And we do see more investment and attention on cybersecurity in general today that goes with these adoptions as these things become more broadly commercialized. So those are key, and just how that data is used and even structured is an opportunity and a risk, because it's easy to get, as you know, with AI, some hallucinations or other just false conclusions that say, hey, teach me this, and if you're not careful, and you know this better than me, the technology can kind of run away from you, pointing it towards unclear questions.
How do we make the vehicle quality better? In light of your leadership experience, either at Chrysler or at Zipcar or now at FM Capital, how have you observed the evolution of, let's say, reliability and dependability management in the automotive sector be transformed or impacted by connected vehicle data, and more recently by the integration of AI technologies?
Yeah, I think in the past, it was very silent. You had quality was really about putting parts together with low tolerances and manufacturability in a mechanical environment. It was initial quality. Was it built right? Was it built to spec safely? And you had J.D. Power picking up IQS, which is quality in the first 90 days. And what happened in sort of field service engineering was a different beast, a different silo tracking that. You look at companies like Tesla who said, we are going to go direct. Not that dealers don't have tremendous value add in the model. They're an indispensable interface with customers. But Elon said, I want that feedback from customers and cars so that I can incorporate that in the product. In the same way that your phone is asking, usually, to say, if there are issues or glitches or questions, can we tell Apple or whomever is making the phone to make the product and service better? Now, with more software-defined vehicles, that closer synapse is indispensable. And so those relationships can't be siloed. And even as recently as this year, you've seen some major OEMs post some profit warnings because of high warranty costs due to the complexities of a software-defined vehicle married with the difficulties of making a physical manufactured product. And so now is the opportunity, even more than ever, in an environment where There's more partnering, more outsourcing of software. Being able to provide that info on a real-time basis at a VIN level can catch things orders of magnitude faster than was possible before, waiting for things to bubble up from the field.
Yeah, makes absolute sense. Outside of Tesla, have you seen any examples of kind of good practice where, OEMs or tier ones have been able to significantly improve their quality control processes or, field service processes with the help of connected vehicle data and AI?
Yeah, I mean, again, you look at some of the work that Viaduct is doing. Take a Nissan, and the leap is using that and incorporating it back to the silo comment, not just in catching things in the field and making them go away, but giving that rapid real-time upstream feedback to product development, almost like making in the field feedback a critical feedback loop as part of the product development process. So the very well attuned manufacturers are starting to say, wait a minute, we can really develop with both hands, not just upstream engineers, but also with rapid insights from the car park in operation.
How do you see data and AI enhancing maintenance strategies, either on the OEM side as they issue recommendations, or on the side of either individual drivers, or even more on the side of fleet operators?
Yeah, the essence of the opportunity is in customization. To be able to say, based on there used to always be the disclaimer, your mileage may vary, right? Your usage, weather, mountains, payload, other things, age of the vehicle, maintenance recency, things like that would affect performance of a truck or a car, or something in a fleet. And to be able to adjust those schedules based on real-time fleet or usage feedback is a game changer. A lot of times we hear from fleets and fleet management companies, don't mess with my PM schedule, my preventative maintenance schedule. I know when a vehicle can come in for service. I'm maximizing uptime. We used to do this at Zipcar. We managed it when I was there. It was a fleet of 10,000 cars. We knew well when things would need to sync up, oil changes, registration, tires, other basic maintenance. And then when something unplanned happened, we were, really on a high rapid response level to get that fixed and back on the road as fast as possible. Imagine if the car could tell you how to update its own schedule in a way that a personal trainer might tell you or me what's best from a diet or a workout regimen standpoint, just based on our own physiology. That might be slightly different.
There's all these areas that are ripe for optimization. But despite that, some, if not many companies in the space are still hesitant or slow to adopt data analytics technologies to improve these use cases, and especially AI technologies. In your view, what do you see as the main barriers to AI adoption in the industry, and how can they be addressed?
For what we see in fleet management in general, the barrier is workload. 20, 30 years ago, there may have been a team of people within a company managing fleet, and that might have been thousands of cars, but those have been reduced and reduced. There's more outsourcing to fleet management companies who do great work, but there's a bit of fear of the unknown. Wait a minute, more data sounds like more analytics, sounds like more input and more work. And this is where, again, AI can deliver much more exception-based reporting as opposed to an order of magnitude more data to digest for the operator. It's really saying, hey, we've filtered all of this in the way that AI might go through some news feeds that you're trying to digest, or might give you, again, the casual novice user might say, hey, give me a list of names for a new movie. And to be able to say, use that to make your job easier, not make it more complex. But I do think that's a mindset shift in a customer base that's pretty overloaded and has not seen a lot of automation make things easier. They've seen much more outsourcing, and that can be a barrier to trying new things that really can be a productivity changer for their own groups and their sponsoring organizations, usually reporting through finance or the CEO.
Your current role at FM Capital, you invest in a variety of automotive or transportation startups. What trends do you see emerging in this ecosystem when it comes to AI applications? And how are these startups, poised to influence the industry's future?
Yeah, a couple trends that we see are in the application layer. So there's a lot of infrastructure AI that's gotten a lot of press and that is hugely important in making the models crunch more, stronger, faster, cheaper. But in the applications, exactly some of what we're talking about here, more fleet uptime, making aftermarket service contracts smarter and more effective, vehicle quality improvements, throughput in certain desking and sales jobs. Those sorts of applications are nuanced. They're very custom to the user, but can have a large industry, a large addressable market for use of this. And there's where companies like Viaduct are solving problems that many companies have, but they don't have the resources to dedicate to be best at it. And so you see this platform growth. And then the second thing is really on driving savings today. So it's how does it make, and again, we've seen other companies in other industries that are benchmarked for automotive, banking, healthcare, that say, how do we make this efficient in a way that it'll lower costs elsewhere in risk management, underwriting, engineering, customer service, any marketing and advertising. And so that's really where the ROI is on these applications. And that's what's exciting here in the last couple of years, is seeing startups that can make an impact for customers right out of the gate, that adopting is driving an ROI for that tool, which we've seen in SaaS companies before, but we're seeing at another level with AI companies.
The startup founders or leaders out there, we hear you, loud and clear, focus on applications and that have real use and that have real ROI today. Aside from that, what advice would you have for startups in this space that are eager to deploy AI to make a difference?
Yeah, a lot of times in a fervor on a new technology, and we saw it with computer vision. We've seen it in, again, some of the earlier machine learning tools and capabilities is, boy, as soon as you can solve real problems for real customers. And that's where I think we in our LP base can be helpful, because we've got a lot of financial investors who care about results, but are also industry leaders with car park, fleets, relationships, customers with problems to solve. And those can be great beta customers to say, does this matter? Does it make an impact? And so we're using the technology to solve real problems, not, as we say sometimes internally, answers looking for a question.
Maybe just in closing, if we take a slightly longer outlook, when you look to the future in automotive and transportation, as it comes to AI, what excites you the most? And if you were to have advice for the automotive companies, what should they do to make sure that they are, taking advantage of these coming trends as opposed to being threatened by these coming trends?
Yeah, I think part of what's attractive about auto and transportation is it's so broad-based and comprehensive. I mean, we believe that 1 in 7 jobs when I was running Chrysler Canada were related to the transportation and automotive industry. And I think that's still true globally today. So it touches everybody in some way, shape, or form, and is a critical percentage of global GDP. So on one hand, you say transportation's touching everybody. And so then to optimize in anything from, as we said, as far downstream as customer service, things that are planning, that are whether you're a city planner or a product development person for a supplier or a car maker, or you're managing a large operation in manufacturing or in product development or in insurance and lots of things in between. So we're seeing such a complex industry is ripe for these applications. And so I get excited about what the future is going to look like, where it's going to be a part of almost every function in companies at every level, not just the top of the stack and the largest consumers, and not just in startups, but so much in between. The threat is not trying, and the whole adage of you miss every shot you don't take, Michael Jordan, right? But you got to start somewhere.
That's awesome. I think on that kind of positive and hopeful notes, let's close it here. Mark, it was a pleasure to chat with you. Really appreciate you taking the time and sharing your expertise.
Hey, thank you. It's been a privilege. Really enjoyed the time. Thank you.